Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Annabelle Sedano. A step towards justice for thousands of families in Pacific Palisades as federal investigators announce the arrest of a man suspected of sparking January's deadly wildfire. 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderneck was arrested in South Florida yesterday. He made his first appearance in Orlando just a few hours ago. NBC4 investigator Eric Leonard was first to break the news of the arrest this morning online and on Today in LA. He joins us live with those new details. Eric.
Hi, Annabelle. Well, we've known for months that a young man who once lived in the Pacific Palisades Highlands neighborhood where this fire started had become the focus of this arson investigation. New today, the feds have now revealed they found information that Rinderneck fantasized about starting a huge fire, took pictures of the point of origin, and allegedly made incriminating statements to investigators. Detectives also say they're confident that the Palisades fire that started on January 7th ignited from embers left smoldering from a much smaller fire that firefighters thought they'd fully extinguished a week earlier on New Year's night.
So that fire started on January 1st, and it smoldered underground for about a week until on January 7th, heavy winds caused this underground fire to surface and spread above ground, causing what became known as the Palisades Fire.
He says all of that means that the person who started the January 1st fire, known as the Lockman Fire, is also responsible for the Palisades Fire. Eseli says evidence, including cell tower data, puts 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderneck at the scene of the January 1st fire. He says Rinderneck recorded videos before and after that fire started and says he generated artificial intelligence images that showed people fleeing from a huge fire. Investigators say the January 1st fire was deliberately set using an open flame, but they didn't provide more detail on how that was done. The ATF says it methodically ruled out all other possible causes of both fires, including fireworks that Palisades residents said they heard being set off on New Year's. Then the ATF carefully traced what burned in both fires to pinpoint where each started and how the two fires might have had a single ignition.
We have a lot of different data that all concluded where this fire started, and the fire behavior from that origin, from that Lockman fire, was clearly established in the Palisades Fire.
Coincidence? Investigators say Rinderneck lived for a time in a home in the Palisades Highlands, very close to where both fires started. He was working as a rideshare and delivery driver when he was placed under intense law enforcement surveillance earlier this year. Eventually, he was stopped and questioned, but he was released without charges until this week. Rinderneck is being held with no bail in Florida, and because he's charged federally, there won't be a process of extradition. He'll simply be moved to Southern California to face trial. Right now, the most serious charge is destruction of property by fire. That's a federal arson charge, and it's related to the January 1st fire, but prosecutors say additional charges are certainly possible.
And how soon will we hear some of those additional charges?
It's difficult to say. The federal system works a little bit differently than state court, when you typically will see the criminal charges brought, an arraignment where the person answers those charges. The federal system, there's another step, which is they go to a grand jury and will present the evidence to a grand jury, which then probably, most likely, will return an indictment. And it's at that stage that we might expect to see additional charges added. It's also possible the case could take several different directions. There could be state charges associated with this. We've seen people who have been prosecuted simultaneously federally and in state court. We just don't know. All we know for certain is that the authorities investigating this say they believe they have evidence that will support charges beyond what we saw today.
Any update as to what that open flame may have been?
Well, we heard a lot about what it wasn't. Right. So we know it wasn't fireworks. We know it wasn't gasoline. It wasn't some sort of device that was left behind. Open flame would typically refer to something like a match, a cigarette lighter. I imagine at some point we're going to see specifically what it is. There is a reference to a cigarette lighter in one of the court documents. So it feels like that's where that's going. But the authorities today did not give a specific about what they believed it was.
All right. We know you're going to stay on top of this. We appreciate your work.
Sure
Excellent
thing.
work out there.
Thanks. You got it.
Appreciate it. Meantime, LA Mayor Karen Bass says the arrest does not bring her closure, but she says she hopes it's the first step toward justice. She says the fire department's own report on the fire could actually be released by the end of the day. And she is eager to learn more about how the Lockman fire a week earlier was able to spark back up.
I'm never satisfied. I'm never satisfied. I mean, we want to make sure that we are able to prevent anything like this from happening again. And we always have to look at ourselves and examine what we could have done better.
Beth says she still has questions about why crews were not pre-positioned given the Lockman fire a week earlier. This afternoon, NBC4's Conan Nolan had an exclusive interview with Rick Caruso, who ran against Mayor Karen Bass in the last election. He too questions the lack of a plan.
The easy thing, the reasonable thing, the smart thing to do is you would pre-deploy a fire truck to that area, knowing that there could be a potential that it could reignite. And that's actually what happened. So this isn't a new thing that could happen with a fire. And if a fire truck had been stationed there when the wind started, it would have been easily put out.
Is that the responsibility of the fire chief at that time?
It's a responsibility of the mayor, the fire chief, to have a plan in place. And they didn't have a plan in place, obviously.
And you'll hear more of Conan's exclusive interview, including what Caruso is doing to help the rebuilding effort in the Palisades, tonight on the NBC4 News at 6. Meantime, after months-long investigation into the cause of the Palisades fire, neighbors are left with a lot of anger as they discover more about how investigations and investigators say the fire was planned and who did it. NBC4's Karma Dickerson joins us from the trail near the area where the fire was allegedly set.
Investigators believe the suspected arsonist started the fire right around this area, near the Temescal Canyon Trail, near Skull Rock, and also a trail called the Hidden Buddha Trail. What's notable about this are the sweeping views you get of the Palisades area, homes just yards away. So theoretically, a person starting this fire would have been able to look down, see the lights of homes in a city, and know exactly what they were potentially doing. Now, the fire seems to have moved this way. If you take a look at the burn scar, burning all the way over into the hills and down into the city. But even just beyond us at the homes that we're looking at now, you can see, we remember the kind of winds we were dealing with during that time. The ember cast, a home missing there, homes, empty lots, empty lots, empty lots throughout this area.
He was part of the community, and that's like what's honestly kind of hurtful about it. It's, you know, the Palisades is a very tight community, and the fact that one of our own would do this is kind of crazy.
People who live in the Palisades struggling to make sense of today's bombshell announcement. Investigators believe the Palisades fire was not just intentionally set, but was set by someone living locally.
This person sat there thinking about what it would be like to burn our city. The pain has run so deep for 10 months now. We want justice. We're looking for answers. And today is a big step forward in us having one of those tabs kind of closed to understand who that person is.
In the Palisades, Karma Dickerson, NBC4 News.
And coming up on the NBC4 News at 4, the Palisades after action report by the LAFD will be released. NBC4's Robert Kabasic will dig into that. We'll also show you a timeline of how the fires unfolded, how investigators tracked the evidence, and more reaction from people in the Palisades who lived through the disaster.